Would you believe that this not very heavy person is exerting over 400 pounds per square inch of pressure on the ground? At the beginning of each step, all her weight exerts a pressure on the heel of her shoe. The amount of pressure depends on the weight and the area of that heel. The bottom part of the heel, however, has a much smaller area, so the pressure is higher. The heel is therefore a force transformer simply because of its shape. In fluid systems, there's a device that transforms fluid work by a similar means. It's called a pressure intensifier. It's used in fluid systems where very high pressures are needed. We have seen that work in a fluid system needs two things: pressure and volume. Fluid work is done when pressure moves a volume of liquid or gas. Like other force transformers, fluid transformers change input work into a more useful form of output work. The work in is a pressure and a volume. The work out will be the same amount of work, but with different values for pressure and volume. Most fluid transformers increase pressure, but they do so at the expense of the volume. The pressure intensifier uses a single piston with a different surface area on each end, like the heel of the shoe. The large end contains a large volume of liquid, which exerts a pressure on the piston. This is transformed into a higher pressure but a lower volume on the output side. Comparing the areas of both ends of the piston, or comparing these volumes, gives the mechanical advantage. Very often, hydraulic systems are used to create very large mechanical forces, but the principle is the same. There is still a large input piston and a smaller output piston. This is a hydraulic jack system which actually transforms mechanical force, but since it uses fluids and pressure, we'll look at it here. Mechanical advantage of a hydraulic jack is still found by comparing the surface areas of the input and the output pistons. You could also find it by comparing the volumes displaced on the input and output sides. Either way, this gives you the mechanical advantage. But remember, this only gives you the ideal mechanical advantage. To find the actual, you have to actually measure the pressure in and the pressure out. Fluid force transformers show up in applications where extremely high pressures are needed. Sometimes they help supply pressure for larger devices, like this plywood press. And sometimes they stand on their own. These industrial nailers transform the low pressure from shop lines into high pressures for driving nails. Fluid force transformers transform work into a more useful form. And sometimes they can imitate Superman. By exerting so much pressure on a piece of carbon, it transforms into a diamond. Now that's a transformation.